I want you off this property immediately. Do you hear me?
You have no right to tell me what to do.
Get out of here.
Sound of a running garden hose, gentle splash of water, peaceful summer morning. I thought I'd seen enough nonsense in my 63 years as a retired engineer, enough bureaucratic stupidity, enough arrogance to last 3 lifetimes. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for that morning. A woman in a luxury SUV drove straight into my yard, tires screeching on the gravel, and demanded I hand over my house keys because, she claimed, she was the new owner of my 10-acre ranch. Just like that, my peaceful weekend was over. My name is Peter Ramirez, and this place, with its red brick walls and the old pickup truck parked by the barn, is where I plan to spend the rest of my quiet life. Then came the screech. Out stepped a woman in a white blazer and dark sunglasses, radiating arrogance like a heat lamp. She pointed at me, the guy watering his petunias, and declared, "I'm Elena Vance, HOA president and the rightful owner of this property. Hand over the keys now." The first thing that hit me wasn't her tone, it was the sheer absurdity. For a moment, I thought it was a joke. But then I saw her expression, that tight, condescending half-smile people wear when they think their entitlement grants them absolute reality. I took a deep breath, set down the hose, and wiped my hands on my jeans. "Excuse me," I said calmly. "Maybe I misheard you. You said you own my house." She adjusted her sunglasses, tilted her chin upward. "That's correct. The closing was finalized this week. I'm here to take possession immediately." She said possession like she was seizing a kingdom. "Don't play games with me. I have documents." She reached into a sleek leather folder and pulled out a stack of papers. The wind caught the edges, flipping through them like a bad script. I caught a glimpse of my own address printed in bold, but the text below looked off. Wrong formatting, wrong font. I've read enough legal documents to know when something is fake, but I kept my tone level. "May I see those?" "You'll hand over the keys first," she snapped, clutching the papers to her chest. "Then we can review them." "HOA procedure. HOA procedure," I repeated, trying not to laugh. "Ma'am, this house isn't part of the HOA. I'm Elena Vance," she said sharply, "president of the Green Meadow Estates Homeowners Association, and this property is part of Green Meadow now. The board voted to include it in the last expansion. Annexation for aesthetic consistency. You voted to take my land." I blinked. "Visually inconsistent with community standards," she shrugged. My red brick house stood apart from the white-trimmed vinyl homes beyond the fence line. I liked it that way. And now this woman was claiming she owned it. "Listen, Miss Vance," I said, my pulse rising. "This land has been in my family for 40 years. I inherited it from my Uncle Sam, and I've got every document to prove it. You must have the wrong address. The address on my file is 4125 Willow Creek Drive. That's this property, isn't it? Then you're the squatter," she snapped. "You'll need to vacate immediately." For a second, I was stunned. "You're serious? Do I look like I'm joking?" I asked, folding my arms. "Frankly, yes, you do. Because if this is your idea of taking possession, you're about 3 steps away from getting yourself arrested." That hit a nerve. Her face crimsoned. "I'm calling the authorities," she barked, pulling out her phone. "You've trespassed on HOA property and refused a lawful order to surrender the premises." I couldn't help but laugh. "You can call whoever you like, ma'am, but while you're at it, you might want to call your lawyer, too. You've been scammed." She stopped mid-dial. "What did you just say?" "You've been scammed," I repeated. "Whoever sold you this land doesn't own it." But she wasn't listening. Her fingers flew across the screen as she started filming me. "Caught on camera," she dripped with sarcasm. The scammer trying to intimidate the rightful homeowner. Now it was clear this wasn't just entitlement. It was delusion. She began marching around the yard, muttering and taking pictures of everything. My truck, my mailbox, even the garden, narrating as she went, documenting the squatter's personal effects, possible damage to HOA property, violations of community design code. "Lady, you're on private land," I warned. "You might want to stop trespassing. This land is HOA jurisdiction now," she spun around. "Everything you see here belongs to the Green Meadow community." "I'm going inside to get the paperwork," I said, trying to keep my tone measured. "Don't move my tools. I'll be right back." "You can run," she smirked, "but this will be reported as interference with lawful possession." I walked inside, locked the door, and went straight to the safe. Deed, tax records, notarized letter from the county. Everything was legitimate. I also grabbed old family photos of me and Uncle Sam building the fence. Proof of connection. When I stepped back outside, she was still pacing, still on her phone. All right, Miss Vance, here's my proof. The deed's in my name. The county records are up to date. You've been tricked. Those are forged, she said flatly. The seller I bought from, Catherine Moore Realty, provided all legitimate documents. The name hit me. Catherine Moore. That was the realtor who helped my uncle transfer this property to me years ago. She'd retired to Florida. Elena, I said slowly. Catherine Moore doesn't work anymore. Whoever you dealt with wasn't her. Liar. I'm calling the police right now. And she did, shouting into her phone near the end of the driveway. Yes, officer. There's a man trespassing on my property. He's pretending to be the owner and refusing to leave. I sighed, pulled out my own phone, and dialed the county sheriff's non-emergency number. Sheriff's office, a calm voice answered. Yes, ma'am. This is Peter Ramirez out on Willow Creek Drive. I believe I've got a case of mistaken property ownership here. You might want to send someone before this woman gets herself into more trouble. Within 15 minutes, 2 patrol cars rolled up. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks, the tall, graying man, and Officer Megan Hill. Elena practically sprinted toward them. Officer, this man has broken into my property. He's refusing to leave, and he's threatening me. Lieutenant Brooks gave me a weary look. All right, ma'am. Why don't you start from the beginning? She launched into her loud, rehearsed monologue about closing on the property earlier that week and finding a squatter illegally occupying her new home. I waited patiently on the porch, papers in hand. When Lieutenant Brooks turned toward me, I handed him my thick folder. Peter Ramirez, I said. I inherited this land last year. Here's the deed, the tax records, and a notarized letter from the county. He flipped through the documents. Everything checks out so far. Oh, please. You're really going to fall for that? Those papers are fake. Elena scoffed. My realtor said the previous owner was a woman named Catherine Moore. Ma'am, we'll review your documents when you have them, Daniel said. But based on the county record I'm seeing here, Mr. Ramirez is the legal owner. You may have been the victim of a real estate scam. A scam? She burst out laughing, short, high-pitched, disbelieving. I don't get scammed. I'm the HOA president. Even experienced people can get caught in a fraud, ma'am. No, you're all in on this. You're protecting him, she shouted. Daniel took the number for the real Catherine Moore I offered and put the call on speaker. Catherine's familiar voice confirmed she had retired last spring and hadn't handled a single listing since. Ma'am, Daniel said, ending the call. Whoever took your payment wasn't Catherine Moore. You'll need to file a fraud report. But as of now, you have no legal claim to this property. No. I paid for this place. This is mine. Her voice cracked. She straightened instantly. I'm not leaving. You'll have to drag me off my land. Ma'am, if you refuse to leave, we'll have to consider that trespassing. He's the trespasser, she shrieked, marching toward me. The HOA will make this official. We'll take everything you've got. Your dream home, I said quietly, was built on a lie. She lunged toward me, grabbing at the folder in my hands. Daniel caught her arm, pulling her back. That's enough, he said. You're done here. You're all corrupt. This is my land. I'll sue every single one of you, she shouted, thrashing against his grip. Daniel didn't flinch. We're giving you one last chance to leave peacefully. She glared at me, pure venom in her eyes. This isn't over. And with that, she stomped back to her SUV. The officers stayed, taking my statement and promising to open a fraud investigation. If she comes back, call us right away, Daniel advised. Something tells me she won't let this go easily. For the rest of that morning, the world felt heavy, waiting for the next round. Sure enough, by early afternoon, the hum of tires echoed once again, followed by the sharp crunch of gravel. But this time, it wasn't just her SUV. A convoy of white utility trucks rolled into view, bearing the bold green logo of the Green Meadow HOA Maintenance Division. Standing proudly in front of them, arms folded, was Elena Vance. Mr. Ramirez, she shouted. We're here to conduct a property inspection and code compliance review. Step aside. Inspection, I repeated, baffled. You don't have any authority here. The annexation paperwork is being finalized, she boomed, clearly lying. This property is part of Green Meadow as of last month. You can't just annex private property because you don't like how it looks, Elena. This isn't medieval Europe. Or I'll call law enforcement again, she shrieked. Please do, I said, pulling out my phone. Because I'll call them first. Within 20 minutes, 2 cruisers arrived. Elena stood tall, waving her clipboard. Officers, this man is obstructing an official community operation. Ma'am, we've talked about this, Daniel said wearily. The Green Meadow HOA has no jurisdiction over this property. Megan checked her tablet. No such annexation filing exists, Miss Vance. The HOA workers started shifting uncomfortably. A few quietly began backing their trucks away. But Elena wasn't giving up. You're lying. He bribed you. You're all part of this. I stepped forward, holding up my phone. Actually, Elena, this is being recorded and live-streamed. You might want to choose your next words carefully. Her face turned the color of raw steak. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Daniel broke the silence. Miss Rivera, you're officially being warned for trespassing. If you or your contractors cross that fence again, we'll place you under arrest. You can't arrest the HOA president, she laughed, shrill and desperate. Try us. Megan folded her arms. One by one, the workers' trucks rolled back down the driveway. Elena watched them go, trembling with rage. You think you've won, old man. But this isn't over. I'll sue you for every penny you've got. The officers escorted her back to her SUV, but the following week, the tension spread. On the 3rd morning, I found a HOA notice of violation taped to my mailbox, citing me for unauthorized structures, even though I wasn't in their jurisdiction. Signed, Elena Vance, HOA president. I marched over to the community gate. I confronted her in the board office, throwing my folder onto the glass table. Save your ink, Elena. The county confirmed this morning. Your HOA has no authority here. If you keep sending fake violations, it's harassment. Then sue me, she smiled. Don't tempt me. Later, Officer Megan stopped by. We ran the name Melissa Carter. No license, no business registration. The number Miss Vance gave us is linked to a prepaid burner phone. She was scammed for real. So, they might find her. I asked about the scammer. The FBI's confirmed the alias Melissa Carter was used by a woman named Missy Franklin, wanted for property fraud in 3 states. Elena's case is part of a bigger operation now. But Elena couldn't stop. I found another small metal plate nailed into my mailbox post. Property of Green Valley HOA. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Unbelievable. My first instinct was to rip it off, but I stopped. No, better to leave it. Evidence. I took a photo, time-stamped it, and emailed it directly to Daniel. She was getting desperate. Good. 3 days later, on a Sunday morning, everything finally erupted. The same silver SUV came flying down my driveway again. Elena Rivera, hair messy, face flushed, eyes wild. She was barefoot. You thought you could embarrass me. You thought you could humiliate me, she shrieked. I have proof now. Real proof. You forged every document you showed those officers. She slammed a folder onto the porch table. Inside were blurry photocopies, each stamped in bold red letters. Unverified document. Where did you get these? From the county office, she spat. They said the originals couldn't be located. You hid them. You erased them from the record. That's not how records work, Elena. You've been lied to again. Her voice broke. No, you don't get it. This land is mine. It's supposed to be mine. I worked my whole life for it. And then, before I could respond, she suddenly turned, marched down the porch steps, and disappeared around the side of the house. I jogged after her. When I reached the backyard, she was standing near my old wooden mailbox, hammer in hand. I'm reclaiming what's mine, she shouted. You stole this property, and now I'm marking it for repossession. She swung the hammer. Elena, if you hit that mailbox one more time, you'll be destroying federal property. That's a crime. She paused for a heartbeat, then slammed the hammer down again. All right, I muttered. You're done. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Mr. Ramirez, the dispatcher said. We've received multiple calls about your location this morning. Units are on the way. 2 police cars came roaring up the driveway. Daniel held up a hand. Mr. Ramirez, you okay? I'm fine, I said. She's not. Miss Rivera, you can't keep coming onto this property, Daniel said grimly. You all think I'm crazy, don't you? You think I'm some joke. She pointed toward me. Well, let's see who's laughing when I take this to court. I'll sue every one of you. Ma'am, please put the hammer down. She threw it straight down onto the gravel, where it clattered loudly. Then suddenly, she lunged toward me. Daniel and the deputy intercepted her, taking an arm each. Elena Rivera, Daniel said firmly. You're under arrest for trespassing, harassment, and destruction of property. Her scream was raw, primal. No, you can't do this. This is my land. It was hard to watch. For all her cruelty, she looked utterly broken. Now, mascara streaking her cheeks, fighting against reality itself. We're taking her in, Megan said quietly. There'll be a mental health evaluation before booking. Hopefully, that gets her some help. I watched as they led Elena toward the cruiser. Her body sagged in defeat, but her eyes, when they met mine, still burned. I'll be back, she whispered hoarsely. You can't keep me out. The next morning, Daniel called. We finally got a hit on that fake realtor. The FBI's confirmed the alias Melissa Carter was used by a woman named Missy Franklin, wanted for property fraud in 3 states. Elena's case is part of a bigger operation now. Weeks later, the dust settled. Elena accepted a mental health diversion program, mandatory therapy, and community service, reducing the charges. The FBI recovered partial funds, $83 for 100, from the fraudulent scheme, enough to keep her from losing everything. Lieutenant Brooks confirmed the judge issued a protective order for my property. You handled this better than most people would have, Peter. Years of HOA meetings taught me patience, Lieutenant. I received a small check for restitution and a quiet, handwritten letter tucked under my doormat. No HOA letterhead, just thick white paper. Mr. Ramirez, I am writing because I don't know how to say this out loud. I was raised to win arguments, not to ask forgiveness. I'm sorry. I folded the note and put it in a drawer. Not for evidence, for memory. Months later, the HOA, humiliated and short on funds, elected a new board. I still walk the boundary lines, mending fences. The sign at the gate now reads, respect the line. It's not about property boundaries or rules. It's about understanding where respect ends and entitlement begins. Where standing your ground stops being pride and starts being peace. I've learned that the loudest people often crave silence the most. They just don't know how to live in it. So what about you? Have you ever had to draw your own line to say enough? This is mine. Tell me in the comments what you would have done if you were in my shoes. And if you believe that calm can win against chaos, subscribe because I've got more stories where this one came from.